That was horrible.
Hey, so I went to the laundromat earlier.
Yeah, sure.
And I promise this circles back to something funny. I swear. I swear.
You have to start it like that now. You have to say, I promise it's funny.
I promise
Just
it's funny.
let it ride. Let the comedy happen. That's my favorite thing all comedians do. You go, hey, stop. I see that look on your face. This is my comedian voice.
I swear.
You stop. It's going to be
funny.
funny. It's going to be so funny. So, Derek, you went to the laundromat.
I went to the laundromat earlier. And if you don't know what a laundromat is, because this is the year 2040 and you're listening to this right now. So, laundromat back in the day was a place with a bunch of laundry machines.
Where we still had physical locations that we could go to. It wasn't all in like the meta space.
There wasn't a DoorDash driver who would come to your house, pick up your pile of laundry, and take it away, and then bring it back when it's done. Which is a service that does currently exist. Look it up.
I believe it. I so believe it.
I went to the laundromat earlier, and I was looking in the little change compartment. So if you don't know what change is, because it's the year 2040, and you listen to this.
Money used to be coins.
So anyway, I got some inspiration from that, and I thought I'd change it up.
Okay, yeah.
That's where that
so that's
going. And by changing it up, I'm going to sit cross-legged today.
That's what this all was? This was your commedia dell'arte bit, going to the laundromat, changing it up.
I'm changing it up because my name is Derek.
And my name is Isaac. I did not go to the laundromat, but Derek and I do have something else in common. We both run a horror podcast called That Was Horrible,
where we drive cars.
This is our podcast where we do our best
to drive cars to the movie theater.
To
watch rom-coms.
What about horror rom-coms, which I'm sure is a thing. Horror movie, rom-comedy movie style.
Is that like a harem?
Yeah.
You know,
romance is in the air, Derek. Romance is up in the air. At this point, we're past the Valentine's Day, the Dia de Saint Valentine.
So is it vampire a rom-com? It's a horror rom-com because it's about his harem.
I guess.
A rom-com.
I guess so, yes. And I would also argue there are many vampire movies that could be classified as a romantic comedy, you know?
All of them.
I mean, think about it. Nosferatu, that guy was busting up jokes all the time. Nosferatu. But it was kind of funny. There's that one scene where he like signs over the paperwork for this dude. He goes, and now we are neighbors. It's
and
like
you must bounce on it. We already did this bit.
We already did that bit.
This is Derek ringing in. I am going to change up again and not sit cross-legged because I have terrible knees.
Oh,
so thank you all for being here.
Thank you for being
there.
I
am no longer cross-legged.
You were part of history.
That's a really
podcast history today.
This is a really good short. If you want to use this as a short for our TikTok, just show me cross-legged
and then immediately
no longer
I've decided. I've thought long and hard about my decision.
I'm standing in front of a podium. Yes, I would like to make an announcement here.
I've got a question for you here. Yeah, Skip Staley of the Daily News. I just want to know, will you be sitting cross-legged again?
I will not be sitting cross-legged again. I am not a crook.
No sound. You're just shaking your jowls.
I couldn't shake loud enough to make the sound without my headphones coming out. So
there it is. That's the jowl sound.
So
love is in the air. And there's also something else in the air. If you hadn't noticed, I am a little under the weather.
Oh, I didn't know where you're going with that.
A little under the weather, so bear with me for doing that.
Oh, real life anecdote.
Anyway, sorry if I coughed throughout the thing. My bad.
Walking through Walmart yesterday. This isn't sponsored. And
is this another funny bit? Is this going somewhere crazy?
This is going, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't need to preface this one, though, because it would actually end in a
because this one's actually funny.
Well, I don't know if it's actually funny. It's just I thought I was dying yesterday. So I was walking through Walmart. And as I'm walking around, I see a bunch of people like start sniffing, and I was like, "God, can everyone smell the sweat on me?" Because I just finished a show.
Nightmare situation. People just up in noses up in the air, sniffing away, trying to find out who's the sick man.
And I already felt self-conscious because I'm currently doing a show right now where I'm playing Chewbacca, and in that,
which involves a hefty fur suit.
I'm basically wearing a rug for 2 hours, and I'm running, and I am not a person to stand still ever. So like yesterday I was like jumping off of chairs and like throwing things. Anyway.
Yeah.
Point is, very sweaty. I was a very sweaty boy. And I'm walking through Walmart and I'm worried that everyone can smell me because now everyone's sniffing. Right. And I hear these guys over in the digital department, you know.
Hey, that guy that's dressed like a dog, he really smells.
No, I didn't wear the Chewbacca costume.
You don't wear it home?
I don't wear a Chewbacca costume to Walmart. I don't want to do that.
That'd be so fun.
That'd be gross. Anyway, so no, they're
that
like,
naked man really smells.
Oh man, do you smell that? Oh man, do you smell that?
Oh,
is what
no.
these guys are saying.
Oh, no.
Like, so I'm starting to panic, and then I started to smell it. It was one of the worst smells I've ever seen.
Whoa.
And then I see these two little scamps two little guys just like running the opposite
Little
direction.
rapscallions.
They totally set off a stink bomb in the middle of Walmart.
I didn't even think that was a thing anymore.
I didn't either.
I didn't know people still did that.
But I'm not going to lie to you, man. I thought the Unabomber had just happened, and I was smelling anthrax,
God.
and I thought I was going to die.
Gonna die.
Like,
Start
I
calling
thought-
your wife. You're
I
like,
know.
hey, I'm not
Well,
gonna make it.
I had this like panic worry where I'm like, what if I am now experiencing like terrorism or something? What is happening right
It could
now?
happen at any time to anyone, even me in this Walmart right now.
Yeah, it was the worst smell I'd ever smelled in my entire life, and it was just, I swear it went to the ventilation system.
It almost makes you miss when people would just like put a rubber band around like a can of Axe body spray and just throw it into a room.
Oh my gosh, I remember those.
Because that's a lot. That's a lot more
Happened in middle school a
preferable.
few times. Yeah, but it's still awful and also dangerous. Like that stuff gets in your lungs. It's bad. Anyway,
And
this
if someone
story
wants
isn't
to
over.
smoke up, then light a match, the whole thing's gone, up in smoke.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Cool.
It happened to my buddy Derek, not you, my other buddy Derek.
Yeah, but he spells his name with a Y, so it's
Oh
good
yeah,
that
yeah.
he's gone.
Derek. Anyway, so you didn't die in a Walmart
No,
yesterday.
but no, this story isn't over.
It's
man.
not over.
So I'm turning. I got what I needed. Well, I was looking for magic cards because I was at Walmart, and if you're at Walmart, you're gonna look for magic
Of
cards.
course.
And
if you give a Derek a Walmart, he's gonna look for some magic cards.
So I was over by like all the toys and everything, and that's where the smell was. So I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I veer, and everyone knows the magic cards are at the front of the store, but
Yeah,
they also
always.
put the Pokemon cards by the like bikes and stuff, which doesn't make any sense
Strange.
that they separate.
because
them.
they want kids to be more active. They're like, okay, so you can play with Pokemon cards. You gotta ride a bike about it. Come on, kids.
You gotta
It's
ride
a new
bike.
it's a new initiative. Ride your bike about it.
Every 5 miles, you go on your bicycles, one booster pack.
Like, I would ride my bike all the time. Are you kidding me?
I would find a way to cheat it. I
If
would
that
put
was
like
the
a
incentive?
speedometer. I would like put a pedometer on my back tire, flip
Okay.
my bike upside down, and just spin the wheel.
I would somehow string like 15 bikes together and ride one, so I was riding a bunch of them at the same
Pretty
time.
cool. Like a chariot of bikes.
Yeah, yeah, and then I'd probably like take over the town with my cool bike chariot. I'd be like, who's gonna fight the kid with the bike chariot?
I don't know, but
What are you
they'll
gonna
probably
do?
they'll find
With you and your one bike, you're gonna fight me and my chariot? Yeah, okay.
yeah, but we're the skateboard gang, and we're about to bury it.
Oh, okay. Here I come.
Bike chariot, bury it,
We're gonna bury the bike chariot.
bury it.
Bury it, the bike chariot.
Anyway, so the smell has now diverted me, and I'm walking towards the front of the store. Immediately, I ended up in the candle department, and it was the most glorious smell
it's
I'd
just
ever
a
smelled.
sanctuary.
But you know what started to cross my mind?
Uh-huh.
So I was like, you know those two scamps I saw? They mysteriously looked like Walmart employees.
Oh.
What if Walmart strategically placed a stink bomb in their store to lure customers towards the candle department? Because listen, I'm not crazy. I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on, not because I need it, but because it's cold. And like the candles, they were right there.
You're right. So you're telling
They were there,
You're
man.
telling me that candle sales are so bad.
They're so bad.
They're
Everyone's buying the plug and play.
record lows.
Everyone's buying the plug and
yeah.
play. Or the
Febreze is
melter.
putting never candles out of business.
Listen, and they might know that we've switched our house over to those little plug and play boys, and so big candles
this
out
is
to
for
get
you.
me.
Yeah.
I think that this was a ruse for me.
Big candles coming after your olfactory senses.
Pepe
and
Sylvia.
It says, you, Walmart employee, take the stink bomb, set it off in the store. Everyone's going to flood to the candles.
Everyone's buying
And
candle
it's
sales.
going to be love at first sight. They see this candle. It saved them in this low moment for them.
I'm
And
gonna-
they're like, I have to take this candle home with me. I can't leave this candle here now. It's saved my life.
I'm gonna look this up. Did candle sales increase yesterday?
Yeah. Let's see it. Tell me what's going on with candle
To
sales.
definitively answer your answer, this is Google AI. If candle sales increased yesterday, you would need to access your sales data for yesterday, as there's no general market data. Well, shut up.
Well,
Of course
okay.
not.
I'm not asking you about my candle sales, Google. God.
It says it's likely that candle sales did not significantly. I hope everyone knows this is just a bit. Obviously, I knew Google wouldn't pull this up. Obviously, I don't want anyone to think.
Come on,
it's
guys. You look at who you're talking to.
Okay,
Come
I'm
on.
going to jump back into the joke, though.
Yeah.
It's likely that candle sales did not significantly increase yesterday unless there was a specific promotion or holiday influencing buying behavior.
The
Now, listen to
promotion
me.
is we're going to make it smell real bad in here.
It makes sense, man. Okay. Side note.
Imagine if marketing turned to like threats like that. Buy our candles or we're going to make it smell like doo-doo stink in here.
It's like a threat. You must forward this stink bomb to 10 of your friends. If you don't, one's
What is it,
going
like a
off in your-
chain email? Send the stink bomb to 10 of your closest friends.
Everybody's getting arrested. What are you sending to the mail? It was a stink bomb, officer.
It was a stink bomb, officer.
I swear. It's me, Bonnie Five.
My son, he sent me this email, and I got real scared it was of the devil. And I thought I was going to die if I didn't send the stink bomb to 10 of my closest friends.
Now, here's the thing, man. And I promise, Isaac, that it's going to tie all together.
It's all coming together.
You're going to love where this ties together. Because, okay, so actually, I don't think those were Walmart employees.
Okay.
Right? Maybe they were disguised as Walmart
so you're
employees.
saying they're pretending to be employees.
So I think
There's
actually
levels to this.
Yeah, I think they're probably Target employees because the Target brand candle they just put in for sale at Walmart. That didn't actually happen, but maybe it did.
But maybe who knows?
I didn't know. I didn't. My nose hurt so bad. I wanted to sit by the candles all day, but I wasn't reading them.
Yeah.
I was just sniffing. I didn't buy one. Should have.
No, maybe you should have now.
Knowing
what we know now. Big candle's coming after you, Derek. You got to prepare yourself.
So what if those weren't Walmart employees? They were actually Target employees that were hired to take those candles, put them in for sale at Walmart, and then set off the stink bomb to get everyone go there. Because now two things are happening. One, all the customers in Walmart are like, I got to go back to Target where it smells great. Two,
it's true. I can't go back to Walmart. It's stinky in there.
And now they're like, oh, I'm thinking about Big Red. I'm thinking about Target. I'm thinking about that beautiful, cute little dog that like sits in front of the Target. No.
Oh no,
the
Target dog. Yeah.
They're also thinking about. They're also
thinking about.
Shut up. They're also thinking about Clifford.
Yes.
So now they're walking.
A lot of thoughts going around in their heads
and
at this
as
moment.
They're walking,
It's chaotic.
They see the Squishmallows on one side. They see the tires over there. They look forward. They see Neutrogena products. But then what do they see out of the corner of their eye? Oh, is that's Gather. That's the Target brand candle.
Well, that's strange. That shouldn't be.
Now hold
here.
on. I must buy this and then go to Target. I'm going to discard my whole cart. And I'm going to go straight to Target.
It's just like there's this. Okay, so it has to go a level deeper though. There has to be something in the candle that is pulling people to Target, right?
Oh yeah, it's fair.
They go in and they shove their nose in it because the stink bomb is so bad.
Yeah,
and then they're suddenly like must Target, and they drop everything else and they just walk. They don't even drive. They leave their cars at the Walmart.
Hordes of people were walking through downtown,
just like zombies.
Salt Lake today towards Target. It was the mass exodus of Walmart customers going to Target. It was the craziest thing.
It looked like on biblical levels, like just like hordes of people walking all in sync with each other.
It was so wild, but they had their target in mind.
They had their target in mind.
That's not where the joke was going. But that just popped in my head. It was really funny. Okay. So what day was it last week, though, Isaac?
It was Valentine's Day, I think.
What is one of the biggest days in history for candle sales?
Well, it must be the Valentine's
It's Christmas
Day
and Valentine's Day.
Gotta be, because people be putting them all out with their rose petals.
Listen, if
and
you're thinking about going home and boning your significant other, and you're in the middle of Walmart,
warmer Walmart. This bit is making you a crazy person.
I already am. You're in Walmart and the stink bomb goes off. You're trying to fight back your arousal for going home anyway. But then the stink bomb goes off. That's arousal's gone. So now when you think of Walmart,
from 10 to nothing.
Now when you think of Walmart,
you're opposite of an aphrodisiac.
I can't get aroused if I think about Walmart because I think about that gross goddamn egg smell. But you know what arouses
me? My marriage will fail me if I go to Walmart. My arousal will be an all-time low.
Is the candles from Target. So if I go to Target and I'm I can't believe this bit.
I gotta go to Target to get aroused.
Babe, I can't get hard until I buy a candle from Target.
Baby, don't understand. I know the Walmart's 15 minutes closer. I gotta get hard at Target.
All the Targets are closed. And the closest one's 40 minutes away. I promise I'll still be hard when I get home.
Don't worry, it'll last the whole time.
If it goes over 4 hours, I'll call my candle salesman.
I promise. Promise. Call your local candle salesman if your erection lasts longer than 4.
So anyway, it's Valentine's Day, and we watched a movie called Valentine.
This is a Target warranted candle erection.
And that was the saga of the stink bomb.
Thank you. You know, I gotta say, I do really miss when you would go on absolute nonsense tangents with crazy anecdotes.
I do these all the time.
It's great. No, it's wonderful. We haven't gone on one on that caliber at this point.
That was glorious.
That was wonderful. My idea was so much more simple. I was like, I'm going to pretend that Derek got me a card, and then I'm going to read the card, and then you'll do one, and that's where all I had.
You know, all of my idea was like, I'm just going to tell him about the stink bomb in
That's
Walmart.
insane. That's insane.
Little peek behind the curtain. That was all improv.
And that's all you do, though. You always have like just the crumb. That's all you need.
You give him a breadcrumb.
Seed, just a little seed. You plant it there, and then chaos grows.
A breadcrumb to a human is nothing but a speck. A breadcrumb to a mouse is a meal for a week. Think about that for a fucking second.
They chew on that. He got so passionate about it. You lost it. We've lost Derek, ladies and gentlemen. We watched Valentine from 2001 because while it is past Valentine's Day at this point, there's no excuse. There's no reason we can't be watching something in the theme for it. And Valentine's Day was sitting at an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, so we were like, we got to check that one out, right?
I mean, yeah, and I know this is a few days after Valentine's. Listen, I understand that. I get it. I hear you. And you're like, we don't want to think about Valentine's Day anymore. My
over.
girlfriend left me. I don't want to think about Valentine's. Well, listen, you got to deal with it.
I mean, in a broad sense, yes. In a way like that. Listen, if you don't want to hear us do that, go check out Hard Eyes or something like that. I hear that one's pretty good.
Well, but that's actually like a romantic movie. Like
Yeah.
if their girlfriend or boyfriend just broke up with them, they don't want to listen to something romantic.
You're right. Go
They
watch
wanna hear
Sonic
about
3.
murder.
That'll make you feel better.
They want to hear about murder most foul. I am on one today. I'm unhinged. Valentine. Was
Valentine
released
from
on
2001.
February 2nd, which you may notice.
Why didn't they just release it on Valentine's Day?
The astute listener will notice
That's
that
you.
was 12 days before Valentine's Day.
Now, why might that be?
I don't know. They're
Let's put
stupid.
on our thinking caps and think real hard about this one. I'm trying to figure out the murder mystery here inside of the Valentine's Day release thing.
Derek's just staring at me.
You do that to me. You let me go on
But you
tangent.
have somewhere to go. I do not. I am flying by the seat of my pants here. So we watched Valentine.
We did. And Valentine is sitting at an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's sitting at a 33% for the audience. Love is in the air on the most romantic day of the year. I'm going to do it as Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, do it.
On the most romantic day of the year.
Nothing more romantic than Nicolas
Would-be
Cage.
lovers woo hearts with flowers, candy, cards, and gifts. But best friends Marley Shelton, Paige, Dennis Richards, Denise, Dorothy.
You getting all the actor names?
I'm done. They're just young women looking for a relationship, a Valentine to die for.
Oh.
And this year, they just might get their wish. I'm not good at Nicolas Cage voices, but I keep doing it.
You're not bad at it, though.
That's true. I'm like mid.
I feel like there are people who are way worse at it.
That's true.
And maybe there's a person or two who might be a little better at it, but they don't have a podcast. No, I'm not. You're one
They
of them.
might.
You're one of them.
What if the Nick Cage impersonators podcast? Do you remember that?
How can I forget about the Nick Cage impersonating podcast? It was actually in my Spotify Wrapped last year.
And it's shaped like an NPR. We can't go on another tangent. And we're going to. It's like it's shaped like an NPR podcast where, hello, and today on the NC IP on the NCIP.
Oh my God, Nicolas Cage impersonation podcast.
And then in the NCIP, we will be reading Shakespeare quotes as Nicolas Cage. To be or not to be? That is the question.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
I don't remember any other Shakespeare.
There's no other
because
Shakespeare.
I've been put on a spot and they're all gone from my. I will take this flower and I will drip it into your eye.
It's me, Oberon. See, this is why we stop at one bit, because that's all we have in us. We have the one bit that works.
What do you mean?
We had the Target warranted erection candle, and then
I need that story to be animated. I know we talk about having some of our bits animated.
Yeah.
That one needs I want a little animated Derek walking through Walmart.
I can
sniffing
see it
the
now,
air,
just the way it
and
looks.
then he sees the Target brand candle.
Oh, there he starts shaking.
He just gets a massive boner. Yuck. All right. Fun thing about Valentine 2001, it was actually nominated for 4 things.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. It was nominated for 5 things
5
and won
things.
2 things.
Wow. Okay.
Nominations were 2001 nominee for Teen Choice Award of Best Horror.
Interesting.
Best movie your parents didn't want you to see at the Teen Choice Award.
Are you sure about that? My parents didn't want me to see The Human Centipede. That was mine.
And then Choice Sleazebag for David Boreanaz. Now listen, anybody who knows David Jason.
Bordy. One more time.
Why am I stuttering so much today?
You're nervous.
I've always
I'm
got
so nervous on microphone.
I've always had like a little bit of a stutter, but today it's on fire. Sorry.
On fire? What was that? Should I turn into like the school bully?
David, no, it's so mean. Then I'll grow up and I'll murder you.
Oh,
just like in
much like Valentine 2001,
which they'll learn about. Hey, you audience, you'll learn about it. We're not that far into the
will
episode.
get
We're
there.
only 20 minutes.
We're
doing great.
fine.
We only went on like a 10-minute rant. Choice
had
Sleazebag
longer.
for David Boreanaz. And now listen, I love David Boreanaz.
From what would avid
Angel,
listeners remember him from?
Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or Angel from
Angel. Yeah,
Or
exactly.
you may remember him as the guy whose house they pretended Bojack's house was in BoJack Horseman.
Now, interesting. Speak on that.
That's all.
That's all it is.
Literally the whole bit.
So what? How does that work?
There's Bojack's house.
Yeah,
There's like a group of tourists. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, look, it's David Boreanaz's house.
but
And-
it's Bojack's house.
Bojack's horse. And then a
It's
couple of them,
Bojack's horse.
And then where's the Bojack's horse? But the couple of the main characters, they like pretend it is his house and make money off of it by having tourists come through.
Okay, kind of genius though.
It's freaking hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
you
one of the
kidding
best
me?
running gags in the show. Golden Trailer Awards gave this best voiceover winner
For a woman, right?
for the trailer.
just
for the trailer.
It just the trailer itself won
Yeah.
an award, not for the narration
Nope.
in it. That's crazy.
Well, no, the voiceover in the trailer.
I see. Because that was something I read within the trivia, was that this is like one of the few horror movie trailers, especially around the time, that had a woman narrating the trailer rather than a guy.
I'm not gonna lie to you right now.
Yeah. What's up?
This is 100% genuine.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
watched that trailer once and a half.
Mm-hmm. We did watch it one and a half
Genuinely
times.
thought it was in a world
Yeah.
where Valentine's Day is rampant. This movie was so like. We're gonna go over this a lot.
Every trope you could imagine
Literally
from the year
everything.
2001. Hey, really anywhere from the year 2000 to 2009. Like anything
Absolutely.
within
It
that
was
span of time.
Such a smorgasbord of all of the things that made 2000s cringy and cheesy that even the trailer that apparently had a female voice, I thought was still they're about to get everyone's just dessert.
Valentine's
and it's
to
not
die for.
strawberries dipped in chocolate. That's actually that was pretty good.
That was good.
Did
We
you
should
hear-
write
did you
that
hear my
down.
tagline?
Write that down. That's
They're
good.
about to get their just dessert.
Just desserts. It's
And
not
it's not chocolate.
chocolate
strawberry.
strawberry. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Now we can make a movie off of that.
All right. This movie won the worst film award at the 2002 Chainsaw Award. And that's all.
Oh,
That's all.
sorry about it, guys.
That's all that it won. Let's talk about who wrote it and directed it.
Who
it was,
is responsible for this movie?
it was directed by Jamie Blanks. Yes, he's always firing blanks. It was written I'm so sorry. I bet he gets that all the time. It was written by Tom Savage and then husband and wife duo Donna Powers and Wayne Powers. I'm so sorry if you're brother and sister. I never look into it very much.
They have the same last name for some reason.
So you may actually know Jamie Banks. He's done a few different things. We never watched Urban Legend, did we? We've just
No.
talked about watching.
I think so, yeah.
Because that's one it's like the same movie.
Really?
Well, like just in the same like 90s vein.
So
or
you're telling
the
me he's
2000s
responsible
vein.
for another movie we could be watching for this podcast?
A couple, and I feel
Oh,
like
boy.
that's pretty common. But
fair.
here's the biggest thing about Mr. Jamie Blanks. He is more well known for being a composer than anything else.
What?
Yeah, so he's been a
I-
composer on 24 projects, one upcoming, but he's only been a director of 6 movies.
How do you go from composer to director?
I don't know.
Be like, I've seen these guys do it. I can figure it out.
But
I
it
feel like
looks
that could be
like
kind of cool thinking from the composer mindset, though. Like imagining
mean,
what music is going to go
John
behind
Carpenter.
that. That's fair. Yeah.
John Carpenter's like known for that.
Which is so funny because he did The Thing and hired somebody else to do the music for it, and it feels like he took him into a room and is like, "Hey, man, I know you're the one in charge of the music, but like, listen to this stuff." He's like, "This is just your music. Yeah. Do that." Because it just sounds like John Carpenter music in The Thing.
It really does. I actually did not know he didn't do the music.
No,
for it
that's
until
you would
right now.
imagine he would have done it himself. No, he hired somebody else, but it still sounds like John Carpenter.
Absolutely crazy. I think that all of this man's movies we could watch for this podcast, they are all rated low enough. So.
Yikes.
Not even a joke. And then Tom Savage actually wrote a book called Valentine, which this movie was based on.
Oh,
And
right.
Donna and Wayne Powers, who are definitely They were married.
Yes.
I have confirmed it. They were not
Confirmation.
brother and sister.
A second marriage is at the
Unless
podcast.
they were married first and then got divorced and became brother and sister. You never know.
Well, I guess you can't rule out everything.
It might have gone the other way. They might have been brother and sister first and then got married
What
when
else?
they found out that they weren't brother and sister
What
anymore.
else have they done? God, that'd be crazy.
It's the weirdest.
Be like, well, I guess we don't have to change our names.
We can fuck now. It doesn't make... If our parents get divorced, that doesn't make us not brother and sister. Unless...
What else have they done
What
together?
are we talking about? They actually wrote The Italian Job, which is a really popular movie. I love that movie. And The Equalizer. What? Yeah, kind of cool.
That's
Skeletons
insane.
in the Closet is another one they did.
Oh, I
Never-
love that.
Never actually heard of
Certified
that one.
Club Banger. Skeletons in the Closet.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. They did a lot together before they got divorced. So
Oh.
and then subsequently became
brother and
sister.
sister. It's fucked up. It's fucked up what you're doing there.
It's a little messed up. I'm so sorry. This movie had a 2.6 on Letterboxd, a 4.9 on IMDb, and the budget for this film actually surprised me is $30 million.
30 mil?
Yeah, 29 million,
Goodness.
and then it grossed 36.7 million. So
Okay.
it made a good $7
So
million.
it came back around. There are enough people. I think it is easy to sell a gimmick like holiday kind of movie. I feel like they can do the same thing with Christmas. I think that's probably why the Leprechaun movies also did fairly well. You know, it's just that it's easy to sell because people like the idea of seeing a themed movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like even around this Valentine's Day, I was like, I kind of want to go see Hard Eyes because,
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too.
it's a Valentine's
And he
themed
is
movie.
saying heart with a T, not
Heart,
hard,
not Hard Eyes.
Hard Eyes is more of like when you're walking through Walmart and you turn and you see candles from Target and you get hard
No,
eyes.
you misunderstand me. Hard Eyes is actually the porn spin-off of Heart Eyes, where instead of having hearts for eyes, they're
He's
just
got a big
they're just
boners.
big boners sticking out of his eyes, like the wolf, like boy, yo, yo, yo.
I'm gonna fuck you with my eyes.
And you can't take him seriously because when he moves, they wiggle around.
Yeah, like those slinky eyes.
yeah,
you know? They're
It's
just,
exactly like
dangling around.
that. But the opposite of that, because those are like very flaccid and stuff. This is the Hard Eyes, is what we're talking about here. Anyway, people like going to see thematic things.
What
is
a
what
journey!
I'm saying.
What a journey! This
What a
episode
journey
has
the
been.
beginning of this episode
Every
has been.
once in a while, we record an episode that I'm like, this is going to go down in history as the craziest bullshit.
And
I've
people
ever
are
said.
our friends are gonna come up to us and be like, "Hey guys, listen to the podcast. The hell happened in episode 82? What are you guys doing?"
Did you really just go on a 10-minute rant about candles that make you horny?
I skipped ahead 5 minutes and you were still talking about it. At first it was stink bombs, then you were horny about it. Like I don't understand.
What's going on? Hey, what you drinking?
What am I drinking today? I got a nice little lovely red concoction here. I think my friend Bilbo could tell me a little more about it.
Yes, it's me, Bilbo. I'm back. Last episode it was Nicolas Cage Bilbo, but this time it's me.
And I think he did a wonderful job, but it is nice to have you back, Bilbo, the real Bilbo.
So
Nobody else but the
today,
Bilbo.
You've got a Valentine's concoction. You've got a little bit of vermouth. You've got a little bit of gin.
Ooh, okay.
You've got a little bit of Monster Energy drink.
Okay.
You've got a little bit of strawberry daiquiri.
Uh-huh. And that's
Soupy to it.
okay. We were safe
That's
there.
not for
again.
children.
There it is. You know, I was thinking he'd say something like Cupid's bill, bow, and arrow or something like that. Ah, Derek's mad.
That's so good.
Thank you. I'll be here all week, or at least for the next hour or so while we talk about this movie. Cupid's bill, bow, and
Should you be
arrow.
Bilbo now?
I don't know.
Give it a try. Hey, Bilbo, do you want to go into Isaac real quick?
Ooh, soup. No, it didn't work. He rejected my.
No, you just have a cough.
He rejected my. No, listen. Here, I'll
rejected
try
your vessel?
Here, I'll try it again. Here.
Well, you're trying to start talking as Bilbo.
Yeah,
with
no,
the
it's just
call,
it's
sign
just
off.
he's rejecting my vessel. My
He doesn't
vessel
want
just
your
is
fleshy
not
bag?
Good enough for me. My flesh bag ain't good enough for.
All right.
This is terrible. Should we talk about the reviews?
Let's
for,
talk about the reviews for Valentine.
So it is sitting at a what do we say? 11%
Yeah,
on
11%.
Rotten Tomatoes.
yeah, I said that earlier.
And
You also said that
33%
earlier.
for the popcorn meter, which is now the new and improved audience meter.
Yeah, I
which
don't like it.
I honestly prefer. I liked it being called the audience meter because it felt like it was the word of the people versus the words of the critics. I don't really understand.
Give a
the
shit what the
change.
popcorn thinks.
Who cares what the popcorn?
I want to know what the tomato and the people
I'm
think.
actively killing the popcorn when I go see a movie. That's how
Exactly.
little I care about its opinion.
Okay, wait, no, hold on. So maybe the more boring a movie is, the more you eat your popcorn. So 33% means I've eaten 33% down to 33% of my popcorn left.
Yes.
So I've eaten 77% of my popcorn.
So you're saying the more boring it is, the more popcorn you eat.
yeah, the more you have, the less you have left in a bowl.
Yeah.
at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So if I go into a movie and I eat all of my popcorn, that's a 0%.
bad movie, right?
It's a bad movie. But if I eat none of my popcorn
Yeah.
and I have 100% of the popcorn
Because
left,
no joke, I have done that. I've become so engrossed in a movie, I forget that there is a bowl of popcorn in front of me.
this joke is
That's based
truth.
in reality. There's no lie here.
So I'm okay with popcorn meter now. I
Okay.
just convinced myself.
Well, now we're there.
Because if I was in this movie, I would only eat about 77% of my popcorn.
Yeah. That
Leaving
tracks.
around 33%
That
of
is
the
such a
popcorn left in the
weird.
bowl.
That has turned me so hard on like, yeah, I do agree with this.
Yeah, I don't think that's what anyone was going
I don't
for.
think absolutely
But
not. I think
it's a nice justification.
Why don't you hire us over at the Big Tomato? we are geniuses in the working here. Get us in the marketing.
They're not gonna.
This is terrible.
They hate us.
So this movie's got a critics consensus. You want to read the critics consensus? It is is certified rotten.
You can.
Okay, I'll read it. Valentine is basically a formulaic throwback to conventional pre-Scream slasher flicks. Critics say it doesn't offer enough suspense or scares to justify its addition to the genre. To the genre.
That was a pretty good audience consensus.
There's a lot of reviews in here though. We have so much to pick from. Some that are fresh, some that are less fresh. Derek, you want to take it?
Liam Lacey from Globe and Mail, who's a top critic with a 0 out of 4, says, in the new teen slasher flick Valentine, a public school nerd, now grown up, seeks to systematically murder all the girls who wouldn't dance with him at grade 6. Or maybe that's not what happened. It's really hard to tell.
Sarah Michelle Fetters, which
Not
almost sounds like
Sarah
Sarah
Michelle
Michelle Gellar from Buffy fame, which is also where what's his face Angel
David Boreanaz.
David Boreanaz. Jason
I
is
have
it not
no
Jason?
idea I have no idea how to say his fucking name. David Boreanaz.
Bornass says she's from MovieFreak.com. A top critic here with a fresh review says Jamie Blank's Valentine has aged rather well. A movie I didn't care for at the time of its release. I now see a lot more of merit in the slasher than I did back in 2001. So nothing directly said about this one. Just like it's better than I thought it was.
It's pretty good.
Which is fair. I get that. I feel like there are movies that are like that for me too. I'll go and check it out again. I'm like, maybe I was a little harsh on it. I'm not going to speak on it, but I was a little harsh that first time.
Yeah. Tim Brayton from Antagony and Ecstasy with a 4 out of 10 score says a singularly direct and unchallenging example of the latter-day slasher film made to a template that was starting to show its age every bit of 20 years before the movie premiered.
Oh. Felix Vasquez Jr. from Cinema Crazed just simply says, a bland whodunit slasher film starring a bunch of 90s relics.
That's so true.
Relics. Ooh.
That's brutal.
That would hurt to be called a relic.
You know who's not a relic in this movie?
Who's not a relic?
Izzy Stevens from Grey's Anatomy. Y'all know her, y'all love her.
Yeah.
She was...
Who's this
I can't
lady?
remember her name in real life. Katherine Heigl.
Ah, yes,
Katherine
yes,
Heigl.
yes.
Yeah, anyone who's seen Grey's Anatomy has seen Katherine Heigl.
We all know her.
She's funny because she plays a doctor at the beginning of this movie and then dies. But
We'll talk
about that in
It
a
is
second.
kind of funny how she starts the movie as like a doctor of sorts, and everyone was just talking about like it's just Grey's Anatomy, and we found out this came before Grey's Anatomy,
4 years.
right? 4 years. So really,
This was her audition to be a Grey.
yeah.
I've seen all of Grey's Anatomy, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
No further comments. No
None
conjecture
other
about.
than Meredith Grey sucks. Fight me. I hate her. She's the worst character in the show.
Come to Derek's house. Here's his address right here.
I have started writing a video essay about my hatred for Meredith Grey like 10 times. Ask Emily.
That's crazy.
I've literally sat down and started writing this garbage, but I always get too frustrated and
It's just
stop.
like one-sided hate mail.
I just hate her. She's garbage. She's not a good actress. She's like the most paid
One-sided
actress
beef.
on the fucking planet.
Oh man.
And she's terrible. Sorry, anyone who likes Meredith Grey. The
But
rest
he's
of the
not
show's
sorry.
fine, but her. Come on, she dies like 20 times in the show. Who dies that much? She's not a cat. Even cats don't die that much. Okay, what's up?
You want to talk about expectations for this one?
I love I turned to you. Okay,
Are you
what's
done
up?
yelling? Okay, what's up? What's next?
I just got on my high horse without telling him. Should we let him know?
Should we? No, let him have this one. It's been a hard time.
He's
you know,
just sleeping in the corner. He's all
he didn't
curled up
have a
like
lot
little
going
bug.
on for Valentine's Day. He was a little bummed about this movie, so like maybe just let him sleep it off a little bit.
Okay.
That's my introduction. That's my invitation to be like, are you gonna do something? Are you gonna make him do something weird about his love life or?
Maybe later.
Yeah. No, it's fine. We don't need more.
Let's just move on.
My general expectation for Valentine from 2001 was actually that I felt like I was going to disagree with the critics on this one, critics and audience consensus here, because there's a weird thing that happens around holidays where when you follow a bunch of like horror content creators and stuff like that online, all of them start to talk about it, right? So this was one, people were talking about My Bloody Valentine, also from the 80s, or not also, from the 80s, and then also people were talking about Valentine from 2001. So I'm like, okay, if there's a lot of buzz about this one, I feel like it has to be pretty good, right? Yep. So critics were saying it was bad. I was curious, so I was like, I think it'll be okay, is what I was thinking.
A-okay.
What was your general expectation?
General expectation was that this movie was going to make me want to steal a car.
Why?
You wouldn't want to steal a car.
So you're just thinking really just 2000s.
It's just so 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I would enjoy it, though, was my general expectation.
That was my very first expectation, actually, was pure 2000s corniness. I really felt like it was just going to be a product of its time. It would exist as a time capsule and be a little nostalgic for that reason. Be like,
sure.
yeah, remember these times, remember these movies, you know?
My first expectation was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
2000s coders as hell.
I really feel like there is something, because you were talking about during the movie about how there's something like comforting about watching these movies, because like they always feel very of their time. The fashion sense that are in it, the technology that they're using, it feels so different from what we're at now. And I think it's also because we actually existed within it, because I can't watch an 80s movie and be like, remember the 80s.
And I mean, that must be the appeal about, I mean, I like looking at 80s vibes.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but I don't feel that nostalgia like other people do.
Right, exactly.
But when I look at things from the 90s and the 2000s, I'm very much into it. Like, I'm like, this is my nostalgia.
Yes.
This is my time.
I remember when I had a flip phone that looked like that.
I remember a floppy disk. Fuck you. Why am I so aggressive?
Derek's ready to fight the world today. Fuck you. I hate this Meredith woman on Grey's Anatomy. You think I'm wrong? Come fight me about it. You know what a floppy disk is? Fuck you. You don't get horny at Target candles? Fuck you.
You know, there were even floppy disks that were like big. They're like huge.
Giant ones.
Yeah,
What'd you put on those bad boys?
It's like whatever you want.
You put in the description of the scent of a candle, and that's how you got your kicks
God.
back in the day.
You put that in, you'd see like code pop up and the little DOS engine. I know nothing about computers. Okay, let's go.
My next expectation was a Giallo style killer. If you know anything about Giallo,
it's like Jello with a G.
Yeah, but it's a Giallo. It is a specific style of like a horror movie. Yes, it's more like a slasher flick thing where it's basically like there is some situation, there is a masked killer who wears black gloves is typically like this usual look for it. But typically those ones are a lot more fun and stylized. They're Italian made films. They have like really fun upbeat music behind them too, is always a thing.
Jello is a very fun style.
Yes. Anytime I've watched it, they're always like they're outlandish and they're big and bold and fun. So I didn't think this movie would have that, but I did think the killer would give me that kind of vibe, because there's a specific movie I can't remember the name of, but like there's a movie that I think it's Deep Red, I want to say, where there is like a baby doll that has a mask that looks similar to the killer in this one. Because the killer, if we haven't mentioned in Valentine, wears a like baby doll Cupid kind of style mask, right? Which is basically what I referred to it as the whole time, is the Cupid killer. So. But yeah, Giallo style killer.
Wow, you just jump back in.
Yeah, just right back in.
My computer blue screened on us.
Yeah, it blue screened on us.
It was the most terrifying thing that's ever happened in my life. I thought that I was back in Walmart and there's a stink bomb going off. That's how scared I just was for the last 10 minutes. I thought we lost all of that amazing content, but don't fret. You have heard it now.
This is the new scariest thing in Derek's life. Like, God, I got so scared it reminded me of that time I was in Walmart.
I thought I was back in Walmart.
It's like you have PTSD, but
it was
about
like a
bad smell
it was like $1.50.
But yeah, so I honestly was a little terrified, because can you imagine? Can you imagine not having that bit there in the beginning?
No, I can't reenact that.
No.
I'm an actor, but I couldn't reenact that.
It would never be the same.
There's something about like moments that happen as they happen,
and they're
right?
Real,
that's what I love
rawness.
that's what I love about improv. It's like so raw, it's so delicate. It could be awful or it could be amazing. You never know, but you can't recreate that beauty.
And then if you try to replicate it later, it's just never going to seem as authentic. It's never going to seem right. Exactly. There's a funny bit that happened with you just recently in the show that you're doing, right? Where a funny thing happened on accident.
I got punched in the face,
which is
on
funny.
Accident.
In reality.
And then everybody loved it. They were like, add that to the show, add that to the show. We couldn't make it work because it wasn't genuine. That's why, if you're listening to this podcast, you understand at this point, we're fucking idiots and we are genuine.
We are real.
And that's what
we
makes it work.
may be idiots, but we're real idiots. We're genuine idiots. Bona fide, certified idiots.
And with that,
what was your next expectation?
Fun themed kills.
Yeah.
I can't believe I remember which expectation I was
You
on.
got it.
Yeah, I don't know. We talk about it all the time. When you got a serial kill, when you got like a slasher villain who's got great kills, we love it when they're themed.
Yeah, I love it around like a Thanksgiving kind of killer, right? Where it's like all thematic kills based to Thanksgiving. So we were hoping for some Valentine's themed kills within this one, right? Why not? On the subject of the kills, though, I said either brutal kills or weak kills.
Yeah.
I felt like this one was not going to give us anything in the middle. It was like either going to be like, wow, that was actually pretty crazy, or like, wow, that kind of was disappointing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A twist at the end that's a different person doing the killing. Because in the trailer, they show you who the killer is. It's this kid. He's in a 6th grade dance. He gets rejected by everyone, so he grows up to be a killer and kills all the people who dissed him.
So it's like, okay, so where do we go from there? How do you tell us, even within the trailer, who the killer is and still have like a slasher movie? Like, who could it be? Who's the killer?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a huge draw to slasher movies as a whole, is like, who's under the mask? Who's doing it all, right? And if you tell us, okay, it's that nerdy kid from school, now what? Now where do we go?
Where do you go?
What are we doing?
Where do you go?
Where do you go?
Yours is next, not mine.
I said no characters I like or worry for. Again, which is a problem with a lot of those quote unquote bad horror movies, right? Where you can't care about the people, so why do I care about the situation? And I don't feel for them. I don't feel the suspense because I don't care if this person lives or dies, you know? And so I really felt like this would be another one of those movies where it's like, I don't really care for any of them.
Whatever
Cupid,
happens.
come on in here. Take them
Cupid.
all out.
Hey, Cupid.
Hey, Cupid.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Peter. Hey, Cupid, take out the trash.
Shut up.
You started it.
Some banging industrial metal tunes. It goes right along with the early 2000s bullcrap, where it's just like everything. I like the 2000s stuff.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say bullcrap, but I do. It is like it's there.
There's a lot to be made fun of and poke fun of, but like you still kind of, there's a charm
It's
to
endearing.
it. Yeah, of course. My final expectation just said the audience will be ahead of the characters the whole time, just like we talked about. Like, well, we know the killer is this kid from school, and we're just constantly going to be ahead of them, but not in a fun way, just like waiting to see how it comes around, you know?
There was some fun to be had with that idea in some movies, but yeah, it kind of takes you away from it.
No, absolutely. I'm totally with you there. And then your last one.
The 2000s had two things: sexism and corny dialogue. That's an expectation. I expected both of those.
Both of those things inside of it.
In a bushel.
In abundance, really, if you will.
Abundance of bushel.
Don't hide all your
a bushel abundance.
Don't hide all your serial killers under a bushel.
Bushel Abundance is a really badass punk band name.
That's pretty good. Hey guys, we're Bushel Abundance.
1, 2, 3, 4. Take all your apples to the market. Don't listen to capitalism. Sell all your apples to me. You got a bushel, you got a tushel, then take it in me. Oranges, bananas, bananas. Oranges, bananas, bananas. How many bushels? How many bushels?
How many bushels?
Bonus, banana.
And then they just mosh, and then they all pass out on the stage, and
then it like fades down. I went to the market yesterday and I bought 3 apples and 2 bananas, but I stole the orange. 1, 2, 3.
We're bushel a bundle. What was it?
Bushel Abundance.
Bushel Abundance. That's what it is.
That was fun. That was a
and
good
with
bit.
that wonderful introduction, let's get into Valentine from 2001. We've come so far from the point. None of this makes any sense.
Anyone who's been here a long time knows that there wasn't a lot to talk about with this movie, which is why we always get lost in the bits.
Yeah, but anyway, so like we've already mentioned before, the movie kind of starts out, you get the typical, there's a kid at school who gets bullied, but to like an extreme extent.
Dude, this kid gets railed.
He is a like albeit harmless kid. He goes up to like, you know, the quote unquote popular girls of the school, asks them if they want to dance with him. They're all mean to him and shoo him away. He goes to the one girl who is sitting on the bleachers with no one to dance with.
Another wallflower.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, dance with me. She says, okay. And then they immediately just start making out under the bleachers.
I hate it when movies show kids kissing.
I don't want to see it. I do not want to see it.
It should never happen.
No.
I mean, it doesn't really happen anymore.
No.
But like in these early 2000s movies, they didn't really care.
No.
And I wish they did.
Yeah.
I wish they cared a little more.
A little more care would be nice there because I did not need to see it. But then some other school bullies, the boys of the school, come up and they're like, oh no, did this kid attack you? And the girl's like, yeah, he's a pervert. Kill him. That's not what she says. She does call him a pervert,
she
though.
does say that, yeah.
She's like, oh, he attacked me. And then the kids proceed to strip him down to his underwear and then like beat the shit out
They
of him.
also carried him.
Yeah.
They both carried him physically,
Literally
and
physically,
they threw a bucket of punch on him.
Yeah, they punch bowled him. They carried him in a way. Carry on, my wayward son.
No. Carrie, as in Carrie Fisher, who
Yeah.
played Leia
in the Star Wars
Organa.
movies. Yeah.
She played it so organically.
And he said, "Help me, Valentine. You're my only hope."
Pretty good. That's how we brought it back. Yeah, no, they really just went relentless on this
Which,
kid. It got me thinking.
Yeah.
Let's take a retrospect here.
Yeah,
This isn't a crazy bit. This is actually just kind of real.
This is for real.
I'm assuming you were bullied in
Oh, of
at
course.
some point. in
Look
your
at
life.
me. Are you kidding me? I'm a
Yeah.
nerd and
Well,
I play Magic the Gathering now.
Now you got bullied in the past for playing Magic the Gathering in 20
So I
years.
stopped. I put it all behind me. I burned all my cards. I said, never again.
Oh my god.
And I pushed my glasses up my nose.
Well, anyway, so we all got bullied.
We've
and
all
then-
experienced, I think almost everyone has experienced some form
Well,
of bullying,
because
no
I-
matter how popular you
I
are.
think that something happens where when you get bullied, you then in turn want to bully someone else.
Yeah.
And so it kind of it's a chain.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about that, and I was thinking about all the times I got bullied. And no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That was real.
That hurt my heart a
No, but
little bit.
It was fake. I only do that in therapy. But no, and then you start thinking about the people that you were messing around with and worried that might have been taken as bullying. And while we were watching this movie, I was thinking about a specific instance of that happened in high school where I felt like now looking back, I'm like, I was bullying that kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I feel guilty. And actually, while we were watching the movie, specifically in this moment, I was like, I should call him.
I've had moments like that where I specifically remember throwing someone's lunch over a fence.
Whoa!
That sucks.
That's so much worse
That was
than mine.
awful.
You
And
dick.
it was a girl that I liked. What? I didn't know how to
I mean,
express myself. I was in second
Yeah,
grade.
you're experiencing second
I
grade
regret it. It was
testosterone.
terrible. But I think about that sometimes. What? That was horrible.
it was terrible.
I should amend this. How can I do this?
can't.
This person lives in California. I am nowhere near
I
this
can't
person.
call the guy I was bullying.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
high
You just
school.
feel bad about it. However, there are moments like that where you don't think about it. These kids.
Oh, these
knew
kids thought
what
about
they
it.
were doing.
Yeah, I mean, they dumped punch on him. They stripped him. I never did anything like that. It was,
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna carry a person and then beat them up naked in front of everybody.
Drew
What the
carry
hell?
someone,
While wearing a weird Cupid mask for some reason because it's the Valentine dance. I feel like there are movies that take leaps
point.
and strides to make it thematic for a thing, right?
They
It's
really
like,
do.
This kid got bullied so bad, and actually, because the girl pretended that he attacked her, he got sent to reform school.
Yeah.
They ruined his life.
they
actually,
literally ruined his life.
But
this
so-
was a lot more extreme than the bullying instances.
Yes, yeah. But so they ruin his life on the Valentine's dance. And so that's how this movie is themed around Valentine's Day.
Yep.
A similar thing happens in My Bloody Valentine, which I also watched recently, where it's just the town just loves Valentine's Day. They throw this big old dance for the whole town, and then killings happen on that day. And so it's
And a
okay.
coal miner wasn't invited.
Yeah, he wasn't invited
Is
to
that the
dance.
plot?
No, that's not how it worked. It was a whole thing.
See, it's all back. It all circles back.
coming back
because
around
Billy
to the
Elliot
smells
didn't
of
want
a
to
candle.
Billy Elliot didn't want to be a goddamn coal miner. He just wanted to go to the Valentine's dance.
I want to go to the
So
Valentine's
he turned
dance,
into a
Dad.
serial killer. That's the plot of Bloody Valentine, isn't it?
It is kind of funny because I obviously, for reasons I feel I have to mention this, I do not condone becoming a serial killer, obviously. But when it started out, I'm like, okay, so what's the plot here?
This kid's justified.
This kid gets denied by some girls, and they're a little rude about it for sure. They kind of humiliate him, and then he becomes a killer about it. But then he gets stripped down and carried and beat up. I'm like, okay. And then sent to
And then
reform school. Like, okay. Maybe a little bit justified in his
it's-
craziness.
We'll call it the Sideshow Bob syndrome, right? Where something happens that ruins your life, so
Yeah.
you spend all of your time leading up to that to craft a
Yes.
genius plan of how you're going to bring this down. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so that's the beginning of this movie.
I love when we don't have ways to put buttons on
I don't
things,
either.
so it just fades out.
I'm sorry, I'm coughing really hard. You know what this coughing really reminds me of? It reminds me of a diner in the 1950s. It reminds me of so you're back there in a diner in the 1950s. The pig is there, and he's the grill isn't working quite properly, so he feels like he has to get around. But he's a pig, and he can't really move it around himself. He doesn't have as much strength as he thought he did. Not as much as his brother that made that straw house. Not as much as his brother that made the brick house. He made the other house, and so he's trying to move this grill, and it's so hard, So he brings his friend in the Fox. Hey, Fox, listen,
three
if you help me
pounds
move
of
this grill, then
cocaine,
I'll make
George,
you a
you know
sandwich.
I
Anything
only
you
do
want. I'll rube it if you
mescaline
like
now.
it, you know?
No,
So the two of them,
not
they come and they
mescaline.
move this thing.
I have
and they
cocaine
pull,
for you.
And they pull it with all their
No,
might because they got to get the grill working. They got to get the grill, and then they moves it. And that's the sound of the grill skidding across the floor, and that's a diner in the 1950s. My favorite part about a diner in the 1950s bit is I have to put a wall between the two of us so that I can tell a story while you're telling a story, and I have
can't
no
even
idea where
imagine.
you just went.
I can't even imagine that even worked because mine didn't end. It was a cliffhanger.
Oh,
and it will
okay.
come back one day.
Find out
And
the thrilling end, the cliffhanger.
I also don't know what you said, but like all I was thinking about in that moment was like, what is happening right now? Which one of us is making sense?
Oh, neither of us, I think. What happened with George?
Don't worry about it.
Is
You'll hear it later.
I guess. That was
He's
just
back from prison because you'll remember last time he got taken to prison.
He got taken to
Actually,
prison.
he got shot a bunch, but
I
then
think he died or something like that. So he's back from prison, back from the dead. Anyway, that was a diner in the 1950s. So now
Hey, buddy!
we fast forward, we fast forward to the future in this movie, and now we see those girls at the school dance who were bullying that kid. Well, now they're all grown up, and you know what? Nothing is scarier than a serial killer. It's what's scarier than that? It is dating in the 2000s.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
dating in the 2000s is the
you
scariest
got
thing.
video dating apps. They're not
Yeah.
apps though because that didn't exist back then, unless it was an appetizer at Denny's.
So you got that. You got speed dating, doesn't work very well. You got blind dates that aren't going so well. All that is going on in the first bit of this movie is like all of these girls struggling to find dates, but also that is their only goddamn personality trait is that they want to
Literally.
be in a relationship.
But like one of them already is in a relationship with this guy named Adam.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just don't know. I don't know if it's working out.
yeah, I'm thinking about maybe breaking up with him. I haven't
then she
broken up
goes
with him
to
yet.
speed dating
But then she goes,
anyway.
yeah, it's a little
But
weird.
also, every goddamn man in this movie is atrocious. There's one guy
Every
who talks in the
person.
in the third person. He's like, Jason wants this.
Oh.
You know that Jason wants that.
His date fails, and he turns around to the next female in front of him, looks at her, gets her. No, he like clears his throat to get her attention, and goes, "Jason likes your dress." Like, fuck, get died,
Go
get
die.
died, go
I
die.
wanted him to die.
I wanted him to die. Unfortunately, that guy, we don't see much more of him, but he doesn't die in this one.
because this is an early 2000s movie and only the women die.
But before, so every man in this movie really does suck like a lot. They all have so many problems, and all the women just want to date them for some reason. They're
understand.
They're more to women, They're more to people
There's
as a
more
whole.
to like a lot of things.
There's more to life too, Like you can have hobbies and interests that aren't just dating people.
No.
Anyway, that's not the
You
point.
could eat cereal.
You could eat cereal
It's something-
forever.
Someone does that.
Every day, all day, every day.
this
Isn't
movie.
that why they made like what is it like not Frosted Flakes, like the bland version of it because they wanted to stop masturbation. That was a whole thing. That's a real thing. You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
It's all about the masturbation. It all comes back to masturbation.
Anyway, before we go into all of the friends, there is one friend specifically that they show, the one from Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
And she
Izzy.
she works at her job and she gets mortal-ortled. But the best thing about this, he'd laugh at me. Derek, I'm describing a movie and you're laughing.
Mortal-ortled.
Okay. The best thing about this kill and what we got excited about was that in her locker at her like morgue that she works in, because she works on cadavers and stuff like that. In her locker, she finds a little note. Oh, what's inside this little letter? Oh, inside is a Valentine's Day card. And at first it seems seemingly cute, but it's one of those like pop-up things where you pull the tab and then suddenly it shows the person who's like got his arms wrapped around her, pulls up a knife, and there's some threat on the thing with the letters J and M underneath it. And so I was like, okay, so we're gonna get some thematic kills here.
And right there, we know it's Jason Mantzoukas, the famous actor and comedian who murdered all of these people.
That's a fake name. There's no way that's a real man.
You don't know who Jason Mantzoukas is?
Mantzoukas is a real word?
Yeah. Have you ever seen The Good Place? You know the guy's like, Derek.
Yeah, I
That's-
love that guy.
Do you actually
No,
know?
I don't
who
know
I'm
that
talking
guy.
about? Jason Mantzoukas is great. He's hilarious.
And a killer, apparently.
Apparently.
A serial killer in these sense. But no, the beginning of this movie, past the opening sequence, feels a lot like Scream, where it's like this one Jason Mantzoukas. Okay, yeah, I remember he was that asshole in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I remember him. I remember the man well now.
He has a podcast. It's great. You should go listen to it.
No, listen to our podcast, Eric.
Yeah, stop listening to this. Go listen
No,
there.
no, stay.
He actually has a movie podcast
Wait,
about
wait.
bad movies. So
Wait,
go
wait,
listen.
guys, stop. Wait, come back to us, Jason Mantzoukas, please.
I'll be a guest on your podcast.
Jason, please. I have nothing left. You took the wife. You took my kids. You can't take my podcast co-host. You can't. Jason Mantzoukas, I have nothing.
He man zoopjas.
Yeah?
Yep.
Anyway, the opening of this movie feels like Scream, especially because it is an actor who has like enough acclaim under her belt, at least I think a little bit, and then she dies, and then she gets killed.
Well,
real
she wasn't
good.
really famous yet.
I guess not.
But she was definitely like she gave it her all. She was arguably the best actress in the
Yeah,
movie.
but you see like final girl potential within her, and they're like, no, we're gonna psycho this. We're gonna get rid of her.
I actually liked her death scene though, because because she goes into like a room with all of these bodies laid out where they've put the formaldehyde in them, and they're like draining their bodies,
Which
right?
is so fun because then the killer has to find out which bag she's
Yeah,
in.
there's just a bunch of body bags, and so he's going through. He starts stabbing the bags
Because it's
He
fun. Because
finally kills her.
At first, he starts unzipping. He's like kind of slower about it, and then he decides this is a waste of time. Stab bag, stab bag, stab.
bag. And then it does have a nice little moment of like you see the blood drain out, which isn't actually how the bags work, but it's fun.
They set it up in a fun way, right?
It's gimmicky.
Yeah, but so
I love a gimmick.
So now we have a killer who, at this point, seemingly thematic, and I really do enjoy that about the Cupid killer is what I called them. His name was like Jeremy?
Jason Mantzoukas.
Jeremy Melton, I think was his name in the movie.
Yeah, because if you leave him out in the sun too long, he starts to melt.
He starts to melt.
I did make that joke. So.
But the look of this killer is working for me. I really enjoy because in the flashback scene when he was a kid getting bullied to hell, there were some kids wearing like a Cupid mask.
Yeah.
But this one is different because those masks were like a plasticky one that was like held around the back of their head with like a string. This one is like a fully face encompassing Cupid mask.
Yeah.
But it does seem like it was themed towards that incident that night, right? So it's like a Cupid mask. But then other than that, it's just got like this black overcoat with these black gloves and everything.
Yeah.
He just looks kind of spooky. You do not know anything about who was under the mask except for the fact that it is Jason Mantzoukas.
Absolutely.
You're going to have me saying that the whole rest of the movie now.
James McAvoy.
Derek, do you agree that 2000s movies are full of scenes that you feel like you've seen a million times?
Okay, yeah, this was my thing the entire movie is I want to put together a compilation of early 2000s movies that are specifically horror.
Yeah.
Not just movies we've watched,
Yeah.
but all of them, because they always have the same goddamn scenes.
Yes.
Like specifically after the kill, you have the two girl best friends who are like walking somewhere and talking about boys. That happens in this movie. You have the scene,
So many times because there's like an ensemble of like 6 different girls in it, right?
You have the scene of like them sitting in a room and like they get a phone call from someone. That always happens. You have a scene of like a boyfriend acting rude and you're like, maybe he's the killer. It's like that start of the
The
misdirection.
red herring kind of thing.
Like you have all of these tropes. They felt accentuated in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
There was something about the way that all of these tropes existed within the frame of Valentine that was like nostalgic and kind of comforting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like it was so familiar. I was like, I have seen
I've been
this
here
movie
before. I've seen these things before. Like, how is this happening?
Well, and another thing is you have David Dastmalchian. I can't remember his actual name. David Borneas.
there, yeah.
There's so many different actors.
Great actor though. That guy
love
too.
Dastmalchian. No, but you've got David Borneas, who was at this time in Buffy the Vampire Slayer already, right? You have him wearing the exact same goddamn clothes that he wears in every episode
I gotta
of Buffy.
talk to this man. Does he pull from his own closet for everything he does?
I guess you
because
could
it all
say
looks
it's
the same.
I guess you could say in his contract it's a closet clause.
It's a closet clause.
It's a closet clause.
That's good.
Where he has to pull costumes from his own house. Which, I don't get it, man. It's not that great of clothes. You're an attractive guy.
Yeah.
Stop riding on the tails of your face and hair being hot. You could wear good-looking clothes, but no, I'm going to wear sweaters.
That's the thing.
I'm gonna put on jeans and a sweater
It's just that
everywhere I go.
It's always the same, and like I would argue, his clothing is like just so bland. There's nothing special to it. They're just plain T-shirts and button-ups. Like
I wonder if he's got like a little bit of like David Borneas as a human isn't actually human. What if his clothes are him?
oh,
And the clothes create this metaphysical
So,
version of a body.
Derek, so you're telling me instead of like having like three people stacked up in a coat.
Yeah, you've got 3
He's-
coats stacked up to be a human.
3 coats stacked up in a human.
Yeah.
So the human is the facade,
Yeah.
and the clothes
Yeah.
are the David Bourne.
Which would explain why he's so goddamn hot, but also so goddamn boring.
Well, 'cause, yeah, if I were to disguise, if I was some inanimate thing, or I guess inanimate object, and I wanted to disguise myself as a person, I would choose someone who's attractive, right?
Exactly.
I would pick physically
But
attractive.
his hair is always the same faux hawk,
Every
and
time.
I can't deny his hair because, not gonna lie, I did my hair like that for a good majority of my life.
I could see. I've seen the pictures. I know it to be true.
It was There was a girl I dated in like 7th grade.
loved Buffy.
She loved Buffy. This is actually like
That's
half
true.
true. She loved that hairstyle, so I was like, I'm sticking with it. And then the rest is history. I wore DCs for a really long time.
Hell yeah.
Those shoes were so big.
Oh,
How
just
did I
big,
ever wear those?
chunky
You ever try to
shoes.
run in DCs?
No, it's
Because
terrible.
they're like you tuck the laces in. You tuck the laces so that
this is pro tips
So
for
you-
any of you guys wearing DCs.
No, it was
right
terrible.
now.
That was like the cool way to wear them. And then you try to run anywhere. Like, what if you're running from the cops, which
Yeah.
didn't happen to me? But like, if you're running from the cops, the DCs are coming off.
The DCs are coming off. I feel like that's your way to start a fight, though. Like, all right, the DCs are
the
coming
DCs are-
off.
All right, I
And
digress.
they're weapons. They're big enough to be. They could probably knock someone unconscious.
The point is, David Bourne has. I keep saying his name different because no one actually knows.
No
how to
one
say his name.
knows.
Even he doesn't. Like, he wears the same clothes all the time, but it just like it feeds into this vibe of this movie where it's literally the entire time just a time capsule, like we've
Yeah.
said, to the early 2000s.
But so beyond that, it definitely is feeling like one of those movies where, like, as comforting as it can be, and it is in its 2000s nostalgia, I am kind of just waiting for the next kill scene.
Yeah.
Because those are absolutely the most interesting scenes in the movie. Not to say the acting as a whole was not terrible.
it was just there.
It was just there and just fine. But it varied too. Like, there were some sequences where there were 2 actors talking to each other, and it felt like 2 robots having a conversation.
So, like, at a certain point, you meet one of the main characters' dad and her new stepmom.
Yeah.
Worst actors the entire movie.
Lord,
you see them
terrible.
one time, they go
Never
upstairs,
again.
and they never come back.
There is so many like threads that they try to weave into the story that just go nowhere.
Yeah, like-
or just stop.
So that Valentine's note thing that we
Yeah.
brought up, that happens a total of 2 times in this movie that had 6 or 7 kills.
Which is sad.
It's
because
tragic.
I thought it was fun. It was a really cool idea to get on the whole thematic kills kind of thing.
Yeah, man.
And it just stopped out of nowhere. I feel like I have to mention
Please mention it.
there's a scene. So there's not a lot to get into as far as the meat of this story. Basically, all that's happening is there's this group of girls, and they start getting killed off one by one by this Cupid killer, right?
Yeah.
And then everything kind of goes like from there about like their struggles and their relationships with their boyfriends or lack thereof, and then this detective who's trying to help them in the story, but is also kind of creeping up on one of the girls that also goes nowhere. Like, there's a whole lot of nothing here. But so
I actually kind of forgot about that.
exactly, because there's a whole lot of nothing that goes on, and then some cool kills happen. There's one scene that I had to mention because what the fuck was happening? There's a girl who was getting like stalked, I think, by the killer in her
Yeah.
apartment. She took a shower, turns off the shower because she hears some noises, tries to go back to the shower, and then she finds out that her water's been cut off for some reason. Right, the sink's not working in the bathroom, the sink's not working in the kitchen, can't get water to run through the shower. What does she decide to do? There's only one other source of water in this apartment.
Oh, it's-
and goddamn, am I going to get this soap out of my hair?
It's the skibbity toilet. She put it in the fucking skibbity toilet.
Her last idea is to go and dunk her head inside of the toilet to finish cleaning her hair. And my guy, you've undone all the work that you did. Now you got pea hair, and
got
that's
pear.
not going to get you a boyfriend. That's not going to help you at all.
It's pear.
It's pear.
It's pea hair.
It's pea hair. It's pea hair, and I hated it. But that was really
behave.
behave. But so the killer signs his initials on the bottom of these cards, right? And so it's
Jason
always
Menzies.
it's always JM at first, but then the detective says, "Oh, there were like condolences cards sent to the parents of the people who were murdered," and it full out just says Jeremy Melton. It's like, okay, so he's just flat out saying that he's this dude, right?
Which I feel like they did on accident, and then we're like, wait, no, let's keep that.
Yeah, but so it's like, okay, so like now we know exactly who the person is. But then they kind of turn it on its head because then they try to look, like the detective tries to look into this person. No records of this dude exist whatsoever. So it's like, okay, now we've got kind of a fun thing going here where we have to figure out who this person is. He must have changed his identity at some point. So now any of the shitty men in the movie could be the killer.
And at this point, we're like, okay, it's obviously David Boreanaz.
Yes.
Because, like, there's a few threads that led us
Yes.
there. One, the nerdy kid obviously is going to glow up and
Yes.
he's going to be attractive.
That's
now.
the
So
thing.
it's the hottest guy in the movie.
Right, because it's like it's going to go against what you think. He was nerdy and like unattractive as a kid. Now age him up. Now he's a hot. He's wearing these plain clothes. I'm David Boreanaz.
Yeah, he's wearing his stupid goddamn sweater. Two, though, like, you have this guy who's a little awkward
Yep.
in his dating. He can't really keep this relationship.
Yep,
You're not
he's struggling.
really understanding
And his
what's going on
character's
in their
whole thing is the
relationship.
fact that he is alcoholic, and that's why
Yeah.
him and this girl are on the rocks right now.
On the rocks.
No,
Like
listen,
whiskey.
he's struggling with his problem.
that
Okay,
was-
but that's
was a good joke.
That's the whole thing. And I literally was like, "What would make you turn to the bottle? Huh? Being a killer can't handle the fact that you're murdering people, so you turn to the bottle."
Hey, Isaac.
Yeah, what's
hey,
up?
bring it in real quick.
Yeah, what's up?
Killer. I hardly know her.
her.
No, that was bad. That was really rude.
No,
No, don't.
But so like literally most of the movie can be summed up in like it's a whodunit. We don't know who this killer is. Slowly the girls are getting picked off one by one. Some of the kills are thematic. Like there is one girl who gets killed with a literal bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Gets shot through the stomach a bunch of times and then falls backwards over this like stairwell into a trash can at the bottom of it. And honestly, probably one of my favorite kills in the
Yeah, that
thing.
one was pretty
Just
good.
because it was thematic, right? Oh, he's Cupid. He has a bow and arrow. He shoots with that.
Unfortunately, though, that is the end of the thematic kills.
That's it. Literally stops there. No
Yeah, like,
more.
there are more kills, but there's none of them. Like, he kills a guy with the iron.
Yeah.
Like, he walks in, there's a guy putting on one of the girls' underwear because they mention that
Yeah.
the underwear is getting stolen, and then it's like the guy down the street who looks like one of the many iterations of Ben Stiller that exist in this movie. There's like 8 or 9 male characters in this movie that look like different versions of
Like
Ben Stiller's
different
discography.
eras of Ben Stiller. It's very strange.
It's the
like here's Ben
Benography.
Stiller from Zoolander. Here's Ben Stiller from Tropic Thunder.
Here's
like
Ben Stiller from Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
here's Ben Stiller from writing Severance. Like it's just
from
like what's
writing Severance. Severance.
co-writing Severance, directing
You
Severance.
said it.
Derek
Oh.
Derek has been on a Severance kick.
Everyone go watch Severance.
Could you recommend it to horror fans?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because what? Okay, I can't go. I can't. This is not what this is about. Just go watch Severance. Trust me.
The restraint that you have is fair. It's intense here.
Well, I've already let my restraint. It builds up.
That's fair.
Because after you let me go on enough tangents,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't.
That's
go
fair.
on any
That's
more
fair.
tangents.
But so yeah, there is one moment here where there's a girl who I guess she's basically like our final girl of the movie. Her name is Kate. Yes, Kate.
Yeah, Kate.
She has a guy who's down the hall at her apartment who's kind of like a creep to her, kind of watches
Yeah.
her all the time. She suspects he's stealing her underwear. We do see a scene where he actually is in her apartment stealing
Putting
her
on her
underwear.
underwear.
And you wonder, is the killer protective of her for any reason, or did he happen to be in the apartment to kill her?
It felt like he was there to kill him.
Yeah.
Like the way that the scene was structured was very much because I felt like they were trying to leave little breadcrumbs that it could have been one of the
Yes.
girls doing the killings.
Yes.
Like it was so obviously David Boreanaz, but like they were definitely leaving these
Yeah, yeah.
breadcrumbs.
The whole time they were really trying, and I read that in the trivia too. That like it was really hard because whenever a killing had to happen, you had to think about basically everyone else had to have some kind of liability, some kind of alibi.
Some reason it
Not
could
liability,
be
alibi.
in it.
Yes, is that they could have been somewhere else, and it's not them to make it so obvious, which I think is the case in any whodunit killer.
But I do feel like this movie where they literally have they literally have 8 people. No, they have 6 or 7 people they want to frame.
Yes.
So
There's- sometimes they oversaturate it. There's too many people where it's like
this movie had way too many people.
Yes. But I do feel like they did a decent job at it. Like I wrote that
I
down
agree
later in
too.
the movie too, where like I was dead set on it being that guy, but there were a couple of moments where I was like, maybe it isn't. I don't know, because then there's a certain point where it kind of feels obvious, like they want us to be thinking that. And
Yeah.
you always want to work against that, right? It's like,
for
no,
sure.
movie, I'm onto your tricks. I'm not going to fall for that. No way is it, David. Blah, blah, blah.
David. Blah, blah, blah.
But so basically, all of the movie culminates to this one final scene where there is a big dance. One of the girls is like really rich, and so she holds this big, extravagant party at her house.
Yeah.
And at that party, several more members of the party are being killed off, and so like
Yeah.
there's a lot more kills. There's a really brutal kill that happens actually
The
to.
most brutal kill for
Yeah,
sure.
to this one girl who gets shoved through this glass wall, and then the killer takes her at the shattered bottom edge of the glass and then like shoves her neck through it.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal. brutal.
It was gnarly.
Yeah, especially in consideration
Again, though,
like
not themed.
yeah, not the but still
But it was kind of fun.
But it was
But
it was
also,
a fun
I felt
kill.
like he was killing her because she was in the way, and she witnessed.
Yeah, no, she was somebody. There's a whole like mess of like the love lives and people, the guys being shitty, whatever. She's just wrong place, wrong time kind of person. She had nothing to do with the bullyings from school, right?
We are like purposefully. I'm not necessarily recommending anyone really go watch this movie
Yeah.
unless you want like a bucket of nostalgia.
Yeah.
It is fun for that reason, but there
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
anything like super special about this. There are just better movies. So
For sure.
like we're glossing over a lot of what I would just say was like early 2000s filler.
Yes.
Where you have like you have this boyfriend who looks a lot like Kurt Cobain before he died, and like
Yeah. And he's like a
obviously
shitty artist.
doesn't look like Kurt Cobain after he died. That was one of the worst things.
That's terrible.
I'm so sorry.
That's terrible.
No, but like he's like this shitty artist who's like trying to get his girlfriend to sleep with his like assistant. Like these plot lines don't matter,
No.
but they were just more things to add to the like chaos to get us to pay less attention to Adam.
Yes.
Who we were pretty on board with the fact he was
He's
the killer.
He's the killer, right? There's another boyfriend who, like, his ex-girlfriend comes onto the scene and she's like, you stole all my money. He's only dating you because he wants your trust fund, that kind of thing.
And to explain how messy this movie was,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the same character as a different character who was doing things, because all these characters, they look the same.
That's another thing. Like, all of these, especially like all of like the main clique of girls, they're all just like blonde-haired, blue-eyed. They're all like similar height to each other.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot to distinguish them between each other except the fact that they die.
And
like,
all of the men were awful.
They were all
There was
terrible.
one guy who looked like he accidentally was like put into the teleporting machine from The Fly with a shark.
yes,
And then, like, when he came out on the other end, his face just stretched
Kinda
back.
stretched
and he was like
back.
starting to pull out the teeth of
like
the shark.
like he had some like botched surgery or something. There was a pretty great scene though where he's kind of dating
Shark
one
Boy?
of the main girls from the
Or Lava Girl.
he's kind of dating one of the main girls from the clique. And he's like, oh, let's go upstairs. I have a surprise for you. It was just sex. He just wanted to sleep with her.
Your surprise for me was your penis.
Yeah, and it's so she turns that around. She's like, okay, so she like ties him to the bed, blindfolds him, and then jumps candle wax.
Well, because
on
he was
him.
referring to getting a hand job as waxing.
Yeah,
him.
he says, she's like, he's like, so wax it. He's just gross. And so I loved that scene in particular just because he was a shitty guy who got what he deserved.
Yeah, it was great. It was actually
So
really
anyway, so yeah, that didn't matter. That girl then ends up going away. She's had enough of this party and shitty men. She goes to this hot tub that she knows is at this house because it's her friend's house. And then she gets, by the Cupid killer, thrown into the hot tub, cover the top of it, and then he just takes this big ass drill that he got he's never killed anyone with this before, starts drilling into the tub. That's not working. So then he just pops open the lid and throws the drill inside of it, electrocuting it and turning all the power off
I
in the
kind
house.
of feel like the drill only makes sense if it was a reference to Slumber
Party Massacre, yes.
But even then, it's like it was so out of left field. It
Yeah,
didn't make any sense.
it kind of came out of nowhere. Like, did I appreciate it? I think it's a fun weapon, yes, but it's like, you have not used that this entire time.
But also, he could have just left her in the hot tub and she would have died.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
But you didn't give her a letter.
no.
There was a moment he gave someone Valentine's chocolates full of maggots.
Yeah, that was another good one too.
That was kind of fun.
Because it says like you are what you eat or something like that. Like I like the thought of giving them a Valentine's card that is kind of some kind of precursor to how they're gonna meet their end or something.
But
like that.
again, it only happens the 3 times.
No.
There's 2 letters, and then there's the one with the maggots.
Yeah, but so basically to get to the end of this movie now, we have the main girl Kate, and she is pretty convinced now that Adam, her boyfriend, the alcoholic, David Borneas, that he is the killer in this thing, right? And he's acting kind of like a creep. He's like walking in the darkness towards her, talking in this kind of menacing voice, as we all know him as his vampire character.
Literally,
in everything else.
Literally, shots from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Every single time, like this whole scene was straight out of it. You even have this girl who kind of looks like Sarah Michelle Gellar,
Yes.
walking towards him, and it's like moonlight coming in on his face.
It's very
wearing
dark
the same
in there.
goddamn clothes he wears in Buffy.
Sincerely, there are shots from behind her where you see him, and I'm like, you could tell me this is from Buffy, and I would believe you.
Absolutely,
Like, wholeheartedly.
Even when you saw her face walking towards him, you're like, oh, who's Angel gonna kill today? Like it just fit.
Yeah.
It fit.
But so she, you find out all of her friends are pretty much dead at this point. She had a fight with her friend Dorothy because there's a weird plot line here where Dorothy is the girl that pretended that Jeremy attacked her as a kid, right? So she's the reason that he went to reform school, the reason that he probably is on this murdering spree. So like she's feeling a lot of guilt about this. But there's a whole plot line about how she thinks her friends are out to get her because she's finally happy with this new man because she was the quote unquote fat girl as a kid, right? Like she resents them for it because she thinks they resent her for being happy now. Like you're mad that I'm hot now and not fat anymore. And it's a weird.
It doesn't really make
I
any
didn't
sense.
love it. No.
I also didn't love it.
But so there's a scene where they have a fight and then she runs off. So now she's gone. It's just the main girl and her boyfriend, Adam. At this point, she's convinced he's killed Dorothy. And then she's dead. And so she starts attacking him. She like kicks him in the groin, I think, to run away from him. Then she smashes a bottle over his head. And then at some point, as they're running through the building, she also finds the decapitated head of the detective.
Yeah.
Who... When and why did that happen?
Oh yeah, the detective was a creep too.
Yeah.
He tried to creep up on one of the girls. We don't even need to go into details about that.
It was
just
sucky
awful.
for sure. But so then as the Sarah Michelle Gellar looking type, Kate, the main girl, as she's running through the house, she runs into the Cupid killer. And it's like, okay, so hold on. Is it not
David
Adam then?
Boreanaz?
Because she was just running from him and he wasn't dressed up. So now I'm a little confused. So she runs into him. They take a topple down the stairs and then bam, 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 gets shot. The Cupid killer all up in the chest.
But honestly, died too quick for me to believe that they were actually the killer.
Yes.
Right. And there was a plot line we didn't really talk about. So at the beginning of the movie, when the nerdy kid is getting beat up, his nose starts bleeding.
Right, I forgot that. And every
single kill that the killer does, you see a stream of blood come out of the nose hole
through the mask, which is kind of fun. But so Derek was sitting here saying like, okay, that's going to be a big reveal, right?
Yeah.
At some point, whoever the killer is, their nose is going to start to bleed. And that's how we're going to know.
And it was through this whole like Twilight fucking montage scene of him like being dark and mysterious.
Yeah.
It was during this Buffy moment that I was like, it's a Buffy Twilight moment.
Yes,
Absolutely.
a Buffy moment.
It really did feel like that though. It was like that cheesy, both of them.
Yes.
I was waiting for a camera to pan to see the blood coming out of his nose because I knew in 2001 they didn't have a great way to make someone's nose bleed on command.
Yes.
So they had to do it in a way where the camera panned around.
They had to like cut away or
I was
something.
like out of my chair at this moment. I was like, there's going to be blood. And it never was.
Because to Derek's credit, I swear to God, there was one moment where he's trying to comfort his girlfriend and they're talking to each other. They're like almost slow dancing with each other in the dark, but they're basically like hugging each other and slowly rotating around each other. Every time he turned around, I'm like, this is going to be it. It's going to turn back and his nose is going to start bleeding.
It never did.
No, there was even a moment I swore I saw his hand go up to his face. And I was like,
I
that's
did
when he
too.
put the blood capsule up there.
I was waiting for it, man.
No.
It never happened.
And so now the killer is dead. We did not get that big reveal, but it's still like there's not, because I feel like horror movies typically wrap things up pretty quick at the end of a movie where it's like everything's okay, the evil has left this place now. This one still lingered and I'm like, okay, I don't feel like we're out of it yet. Something's still up. And so now we find out, we unmask the killer. It is not Adam, it is actually Dorothy, the friend that had just barely ran away. They had the fight. And so like even Kate is like, that's so like that doesn't make any sense. Like why would she kill her own boyfriend that she loved and she seemed so happy like a week ago? Like she's like, some of these things don't make sense. But then Adam is like, well, people do crazy things, I guess.
And then they're sitting on the ground cuddling, and what
he's
hits her
holding
cheek?
her. She has a stream of blood fall onto her face, which she does not notice.
No, she's cool with it.
She doesn't have any recollection. Like
She's
doesn't
used to him spitting on her face.
She doesn't react to it even a little bit. And then pan the camera up to his face. So that's blood. Blood
coming out of the
leaking
nose.
out of his nose hole. Specifically his right nostril every single time. And then the credits roll.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, so we were right. And they did give it to us, but not in a big flashy way.
They stringed my balls along, and they made
Through the gravel, through the mud.
through the
Stomping
gravel,
on
through
them the whole
storm.
time.
They were smashing them against the ground, and then right at the very end, they gave me what I wanted. And honestly, I liked that.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of the movie.
So yeah, I
I was
do
right.
appreciate that. And I do kind of appreciate the subtle, like, it's not over yet, the killer still exists kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I guess in some way, like, he's done his work because it seems like he was out to kill all the people that wronged him in the past.
Yeah.
And I found a thing that I'll get to in the trivia, actually. Each of the girls say a specific thing to him when they reject him in the opening sequence. And Kate, the only one that did not flat out say something mean to him, she says, maybe later. And so she did not necessarily ridicule him in a sense, and then he ends up with her in the future. So like he has no reason to kill her.
Interesting.
But everybody else in his mind, deserves to get to get under the knife, if you will.
Knife one.
Nice to meet you.
You're coughing a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The movie just really gets to me.
Yeah, do you want to go and get in your coffin with Count Trivia?
Not yet. We got to talk about our expectation results.
I just thought it was a good segue. I should have saved it.
I'll so pretend audience forget about that. Forget Derek said that. It was a really great idea. Expectations. I said pure 2000s corniness, and truly, I felt like I'd seen this movie 20 times before.
Oh, absolutely.
Every scene is like you've seen this in 100 other movies.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is nostalgic for some reasons.
I mean, and right with that, 2000s Code as Hell in every single way.
Absolutely. The entirety of it. And that's why we could sum it up so easily just as the way it was. Just because like it's just a lot of 2000s filler. And then there's some kills that happen at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I said Giallo style killer, and really just in the masks and the black gloves. Like the kills were not quite as out there or extravagant as they would be. There wasn't any cool, fun music to go alongside with them. Like it wasn't as I don't know, as exciting as a Giallo film would be. So like yes and no.
Yeah.
Looks alone.
Fun theme with kills for me too. The notes, like, the kills were fun, but they went away, and I don't know. Oh, the notes were fun.
Sad.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the notes were like a fun idea,
Yes,
but they went
the
away.
Valentine's
It was
cards.
honestly a letdown, and then the kills weren't even that excited or themed.
Yeah, no.
Exciting or themed.
I said brutal kills, or either brutal kills or weak ones, and somehow it had a mix of the two. There were some fairly brutal, like the girl getting stabbed
Just
onto
like
the
two.
glass through the neck, but then others were like just fine. I really could have used more of the thematic kills, though, right? Like the bow and arrow, I thought that was really fun. Really could have leaned into that a bit a better movie.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. A twist at the end that it was a different person doing the killing. Kind of. It was the same guy. He just got hot. Totally called
He
it.
just
though.
got hot. No, so you were absolutely right on that one. I said there were going to be no characters I like or worry for, and I didn't dislike them as much as I have for other horror movie ensembles, but they were still just fine.
Yeah.
They were just your run-of-the-mill 2000s actors, not really giving me anything crazy. I would probably argue that, yes, the girl from Grey's Anatomy at the very beginning of the movie was probably one of the more interesting actors in the movie.
Some banging industrial metal tunes. There were some industrial metal. And also, Marilyn Manson wrote and sang a song for this movie.
Yeah,
Which is
it's
kinda
very
crazy.
strange. My final expectation was audience will be ahead of the characters the whole time, and though they did a decent job at misdirecting us there for a second, we all knew what was going to happen, right?
Yeah,
like we
yeah.
really were on top of it. Derek's the smart guy. He's like, he's going to get hot, and that's going to be the whole twist. And you were right, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. 2000s had two things: sexism and corny dialogue. Oh my god.
All over the place.
There's so much
All
awful
over the
sexism
place.
and corny dialogue, but specifically the sexism.
It's
was
just so many of
so
those
bad.
men who like think they're the shit and think everybody wants them, and so they just like talk like that. all
Jeremy
the t-
wants that.
Jeremy likes your, or no, Jason wants your dress. Like
That's what it
fuck
was.
that. Die. No, perish. I say. Fix your hearts or die. Surprises. I said they started out with the possibility of some fun kills and bits along the Valentine's Day theme that they eventually just gave up on. Like I was really sad about that because I feel like this movie had some really good potential to do some good fun things with it. It had some good going for it, but then they kind of just like threw it all to the wayside. It was just gone after that. I thought the killer was pretty cool and a little spooky. I think the baby doll Cupid mask works.
It was
It's
good.
It's eerie.
Though it did look a lot like one of the masks from The Strangers.
Yeah, a little bit. The doll face mask in that one, I think. But I thought they were good. There were some pretty good kills in it. I don't think the kills were like very lackluster. I like we mentioned the guy who was stealing the underwear earlier. There was a hot iron that was plugged in that he then bashed him over the head with it, and then like presses it into his face, and then just beats the shit out of him with it. Like,
I mean, irons are strong.
yeah, no, and they're hot. It hurts. Like I don't know. So there were some pretty good kills in this.
Can you kill with a iron?
I said there was
Did it?
quite a
Hot iron
with a
in
hot iron.
Creed guy.
So I said I mentioned earlier there's kind of a range of acting in this movie, right? There was some decent acting, and then like we mentioned earlier, some that felt like robots talking to each other.
Yeah.
And then my last one was just that kind of everyone was a scumbag in this movie. The scariest thing about this movie was the way that people treated each other.
Yeah,
Truly,
absolutely. They almost misdirected me with the reveal at the end. I almost got misdirected with Chloe being under the mask instead of him.
Yeah.
And that really surprised me.
I was there for a second being like, and also we talked about this too, where like if this is how it ends and it was Dorothy the whole time, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like I don't
I'm
love
not like
it.
excited about it, but
No,
it's fine.
But like it worked.
Yeah. It was actually kind of fun at times, which has surprised me, but it was only fun in like a condensed nature.
Yes.
I feel like there was too much filler. I felt the most nostalgia I think I've ever felt for a movie I've never seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I feel like I had seen that movie before.
Yeah.
Even down to the reveals.
Yes.
I had felt like I had seen it before.
Yes,
and maybe
feels
I have
really.
in a different
I mean, like,
dimension.
really feels like another installation to the like the reviewers were talking about in the beginning, where like it kind of feels a little derivative of most other slashers that have come before it, and didn't really add anything to the genre of the slasher at all.
It honestly detracted in some ways, but
Yeah. So verdict. I said that was potentialable. Truly, though, I don't feel like this movie is quite as terrible as it is reviewed. You know, I don't think it's worth like 11%. I feel like that's kind of low for the critics.
I agree.
It had It had a lot of potential to be a good one, but really could have used more of the horror elements that existed within it, right? And a lot more of those thematic things. Just like if they really leaned hard into the Valentine side of it, like I'm going to say something controversial here. I really feel like Cupid did a better job of doing the themed kills.
Yeah.
Our movie was that last year we watched that
Yeah.
one? Yeah. Our Valentine's movie from last year, Cupid.
by like a $20,000 budget.
Yeah, so like I really feel like that one did better at leaning into those themes. I feel like we could have a perfect meshing of those two. We'd have a much better Valentine's themed movies here. But I thought the killer was interesting enough, and they should have just kept doing the Valentine's cards, the themed kills like the bow and arrow, and like it had a decent amount going for it, just not enough for me to fall in love with it. So maybe spend your Valentine's plans with another slasher. Maybe go check out My Bloody Valentine. I don't know.
Pretty good. Also, that was potentialable for me. Valentine was a nostalgic trip to the early 2000s. Watching this movie felt so familiar. I felt like I had seen every moment of this movie, even though it was all new. There's something special about that. It's kind of weirdly comforting in a way. It will always sit in my long-term memory as an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and that's kind of great. The kills were fine, the characters were annoying, and the story wasn't anything special, but I had fun with it for what it was. I'd say if you have absolutely nothing else to watch and you want some 2000s nostalgia, you could always make some Valentine for this one.
Hey, that's pretty
Valentine.
good. No, I'd say there's merit to be had within this movie, right? It is not unwatchable for sure.
But like, I like the concept of like, since this movie had David Boreanaz in it and it was so like early 2000s coded, that like when I go to sleep tonight and I enter my REM cycle and all of my brains get shifted into the filing cabinet of
As
my
you're
brain,
always thinking about all these things.
like it's gonna be like an episode of Buffy.
Yeah.
In like 20 years,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, there was that episode of Buffy where he was like wearing a Valentine's
I remember
mask.
that one, yeah. Hey, Derek.
Oh no!
Oh, am
hey,
I?
are you coughing?
I'm
Do you need to go
coughing.
get in your coffin
No.
with Count Trivia?
Blah, blah, it is me, Count Trivi. Sorry, I had to let you do the bit again.
That was good.
I
You just
don't.
wanted an excuse to
He's
cough.
gone now. He left. The bit was too funny. He left. His sides were splitting. He had to go to the vampire doctor.
Aw, Triv.
So trivia for this week. There was actually quite a bit of trivia to be found about this movie, strangely enough. So I'll just
Really?
start it proper. At the cost of $10 million, this is the cheapest film to ever have a Super Bowl spot, which I did not know that it had.
No, yeah, that's cool. Also, that budget is different than the budget I pulled. The
No,
budget pulled,
I read a trivia thing
like
that
27.
said the review, like the reports say that it was like reported around 20 to 30 million, but it was actually found out to be only $10 million.
so it was a scam.
So apparently a lot of the movie had to be filmed in Canada because of that.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of a weird thing. I didn't include that in the trivia, but that was
hell?
just like an interesting, weird tidbit I found out. Wow, I'm looking at his name in front of me and it's still weird. David Boreanaz.
It's like the Aurora Boreanaz's.
David Boreanaz. Sure.
Like the Northern Lights.
Get this. Shot
David
his
Boreanaz.
entire character role of Adam Carr in
He
less
hated
than
that.
2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks they had to film this actor.
Whoa.
Which probably explains why
He was wearing the same
why
shirt?
he had a mask the whole time too as the killer, because apparently he did
Oh.
want to act in the suit, but because they had him for such a short amount of time, they had to have somebody else playing the actual killer.
You know, that actually explains why his body looked different.
Yep.
They did not look like the same person.
Because that was one of the things I actually did think about during the movie. I'm like, I don't know. They kind of have a different build as each other. I don't know if it is Adam in this
I had the
movie.
exact same thought.
Yeah. There was a lot of talk of restoring the trimmed kills and releasing a director's cut, because apparently they were trimmed to these kills. But unfortunately, it has all been from fans, and Warner Brothers has not shown any interest in releasing an extended cut, which makes sense because, you know, it's not people don't really love this movie.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the actors kind of like, I don't want to talk about that movie. It was a
for
bad
real.
time. Jamie Blanks, the director, was inspired by Jack Shoulder's film Alone in the Dark from 1982, not the one we watched, for the killer's bloody nose gag. And that movie apparently is quite different from the Alone in the Dark that we watched. Completely different, solely the same in the name.
Interesting. I didn't even know that existed.
When director Jamie Blanks first got the script, he assumed it was a reboot of My Bloody Valentine from 1981, and he actually initially passed on it. Ironically enough, a reboot did eventually happen with My Bloody Valentine in 2009, so that did end up happening, but he wasn't the one for it. And honestly, I think a reboot would have been fun for
Yeah,
that one.
that would've been great.
It came around eventually, right? So in one scene, Kate tells Dorothy that her boyfriend Adam, I missed this. I don't know how I missed this, but Kate tells Dorothy that her boyfriend Adam is, quote, no angel. This is, of course, referring to his hit TV series Angel in 1999.
Okay.
Kind of funny, right? The maggots in the candy scene was inspired by a childhood incident involving Don Coscarelli when he saw his father eating a candy bar in the dark, and all of a sudden he started spitting it out, and it was just loaded with ants.
Oh, Lord.
Yucky. I would not want that. So this is really interesting to me. The film is credited as being based on Tom Savage's novel Valentine, right?
Yeah.
But producer Dylan Sellers optioned it solely for the title.
Oh.
Quote, Dylan saw the title, liked the title, and said, I don't want to make that story. I want to make something else. So get this. I pulled up what the synopsis for the actual book Tom Savage wrote.
Yeah, what the hell?
So get this. So here's what Valentine from actual Tom Savage is. A woman novelist becomes the target of a stalker. She is Jillian Talbot of New York, who finds listening devices in her apartment, notes in her mailbox, and gifts on her doorstep. Eventually, she flees to a retreat in Long Island, but the stalker, who has already killed 3 other women, follows her. He is a man on whom a group of women played a sexual prank in his youth by the author of Precipice. So, like, the only thing it seems is that he's the man of group who women played a prank on in his past. But other
That's
than that,
literally it.
completely different movie.
Weird.
Like, how the hell is Tom Savage even credited in this movie? Like,
I don't
that's
know.
ridiculous.
That's wild that they would even need to take the rights for the name.
Right?
Hopefully he got some money for that. Because
Yeah.
I feel like he was kind of exploited
I
there.
sure hope so. So get this. So here's the weird thing where all of the characters, they foreshadow their own deaths. So when Jeremy/Adam asks each girl for a dance at the beginning of the movie, they each state a mean comment right after he asks them. This foreshadows each of the girls' fate. So Shelley says, in your dreams, loser, she dies while lying down in a sleeping position. Lily says, ew, and she receives the box of maggots in the chocolate box, and then her body lands in a dumpster. So this is actually kind of makes sense. Paige says, I'd rather be boiled alive than gets thrown into a hot tub and later electrocuted.
Weird.
So Dorothy says, he attacked me, so makes everyone believes she was attacked by Jeremy after being caught kissing him behind the bleachers. And then Jeremy/Adam makes everyone believe that all the killings were Dorothy's doing, right? So like he kind of flipped the script on her. She
Yeah.
was the attacker this whole time.
Interesting.
And then Kate, the final girl, she says, maybe later, Jeremy. And then they end up later. She's the only one that alive because she didn't insult him, wasn't mean to him. She does eventually dance with Adam and have a relationship with him. So, like, they all kind of foreshadow their own things.
Yeah, they do.
Which is kind of neat, but there is no way I was going to be able to tell which of those young actresses grew up to the older
No, there's
actresses,
literally
right?
no way.
How could I piece those together? But I thought that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, it's fun.
But anyway, that is all we have on Valentine from 2001.
We've got some exciting stuff coming up, though, guys. Guess
We've
what?
got fun stuff.
It's our 2-year anniversary
It's our
this week.
2-year. Like,
2
that's
years.
crazy. People have been listening to
Actually-
us for this long. Or if this is your first episode, holy shit, sorry. Welcome to the show.
Actually, if you're listening to this episode on the day it releases on the 18th of February, 2025, our anniversary is the 19th
the
of
19th,
February.
the very next day.
So, wow.
We're going back to where it all started, ladies and gentlemen. Derek, we're going to watch Slender Man, right?
Yeah, we're gonna not. We're gonna
Oh, okay.
play Slenderman this time. We are going to actually play a lot of Slenderman
Yes.
this time. So we're gonna upload like a 2-hour special of us just playing and ranking the Slenderman games of all shapes and colors.
Because
And-
listen, last year we rewatched Slender Man, and that was fun for a
well,
little
we
bit.
found the original script and we compared and contrasted.
and
it.
that was
That's
a fun thing to do.
That's actually like one of my favorite episodes of all time. Go check that out.
I don't know how many how much we can keep going on just rewatching the same movie and
We
doing it
can't.
again. So we're gonna switch it up this time. So yeah, we're gonna play a couple different iterations because there were a lot of Slender
I think
Man
there's like
games.
5 now.
Yeah.
So we'll play all of them. And in one nice little video, we'll give you a little tier list. We'll show you what we're dealing with.
Which one gave us the most tears? That'll be our tears list.
Oh, that's pretty funny. So yeah, make sure to tune in this week. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube already, go check that
Go
out.
check that out. We're making some gaming content. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's popping off. And if you're new here, if you found us because of that gaming, welcome.
Thank you so much for checking that out.
And this next movie actually comes from one of our listeners.
This is crazy. We've been running this podcast for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And no offense to anybody here, but we've never received like actual through the systems that we've put in front of you,
Yeah.
like requests for movies. And
We
stuff.
have like a couple times, but they've always been like people we've known. And this
yeah, it's just
person,
and they tell us in person, right? So we got quote unquote fan mail is what it
Yeah.
calls it.
So Brian from West Virginia, we got your message.
Thank you, Brian.
We are going to watch Terror at Blood Fart Lake.
Now we're doing this for you, Brian.
We're doing this for you.
Brian, this is for you.
Let
if
this
this
be-
movie sucks, I'm gonna be mad.
I'm not gonna.
I'm not gonna be
thank him.
mad.
I'll give you a kiss. This is a message to all of you listeners out there. If you want us to watch a movie, just send it in.
All
us.
you got to
'Cause
do is
we will
put it
probably
in.
listen to us.
Yeah,
we will
because
probably listen to it.
We will do what the people request of us. And Brian has requested that we watch Terror at Blood Fart Lake from 2009. No critics reviews, but it does somehow have 50% on the popcorn meter.
And honestly, this looks like just like a raunchy, rampant birdemic situation. So I'm kind of ready.
Here's a little synopsis on it. It says, college students go to a friend's cabin for a sex-filled weekend and are hunted by the Scarecrow Killer.
Let's go.
So let's go. Thank you, Brian, for sending in your suggestion. So next week we will be checking out one more time. Derek, what's the title of this one?
Terror at Blood Fart Lake from 2009. So
Yes.
thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much. So please, if that movie intrigues you, because I'm certainly intrigued, to say
Intrigued
the least.
is a word.
Yeah, intrigued is a word. If you want to check that out, then join us next week. But before we send you on your way, we've got a little bit of a Valentine's themed Garfield horoscope for you this week. So this week, our Garfield horoscope really just entails it is Garfield and his lady friend. What's her name? I always forget. Marmalade. It's Marmalade today. No, it's the pink cat that's hanging out with Garfield. They're sitting next to each other, and then they're in love. And then John and his girlfriend are sitting next to each other, and then they're in love. And then finally, you have Odie, who's in love with who's that off the screen on the next panel? It's a fire hydrant, and they're in love. Even Odie can find happiness and not wallow in like I don't have a significant other. There's love in many ways.
I'm going to be the concept of love this time.
You're going to be the concept of love. I'm going to be Odie. I'm going to be Odie in this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one shows love in all the different places, whether it be just like sitting next to each other, whether it be looking at each other, whether it be hugging, whether it just be reminiscing. And just remember that, like, think about those people you love and try to think of how you can show it to them. Try to think about the ways that it enhances your life, because Odie finds love at a fire hydrant because it's a place for him to relieve himself. It's a place for him to find love. It's just a beautiful thing, love is. So really think about that. Think about who you love. Think about maybe you need to step out and love somebody harder. I don't know. Just remember that love is important.
Yeah, and so like to go along with that, Odie is not going to sit in here and think about like the fact that, I don't have a significant other per se, but there are things to love. There's a lot of love, and it comes in many different ways and forms. And so like think about that even past this Valentine's season. Think about that in your day-to-day life. There are reasons to love. There are things to be loved by, even if it is not a person-to-person kind of reaction. Love is a beautiful thing, and like Odie finds such joy in it. You find joy in whatever you love, be it a fire hydrant, be it a pink cat, whatever it is, like love is love.
525,600 minutes. How do you measure the love?
How do you measure
All right.
in love? Thank you very much. Thank you for enduring with me being sick this whole episode. I'm very sorry. I hope that doesn't come across too terribly over the microphone.
I'm mad about it, so no one else has to be.
You're right. But so like we mentioned earlier, we've got YouTube and stuff like that. If you found us through there, thank you so much. We are on all the other social medias that you can find us in, right? We are on Instagram at _was_horrible, Twitter at TWH Podcast, Facebook at That Was Horrible Podcast, YouTube at That Was Horrible, and we are also on TikTok at That Was Horrible. They just brought that back to the App Store. Download TikTok. We're still there, still kicking.
And if you're still here, like, if you have any interest in, like, if you have any connections into the horror world, I think we should start pitching this. Like, we're wanting to bring some guests onto the podcast. We've reached out to some people. We're going to probably start having guests on, people who are in the industry, people who are related to the industry in any way. Maybe if you're just like an avid fan and you're
just
like,
big
I've watched
horror fanatic.
I have seen every single iteration of Terror at Blood Fart Lake. I am worthy of being in your podcast. Reach out to us. Maybe we can find a slot for you. We'd love to bring people on and just start hearing different perspectives.
Yeah, and to that effect, continue, please. Just follow in Brian's footsteps. Send us a recommendation for a movie if you want to hear us talk about it here on the podcast. And also, don't stop there. We also have a YouTube channel where we're playing video games now, right?
Go check that out.
We need lots of games to play. While there is obviously lots of potential, we could just like pick out of a hat and pick a bunch. I would much rather do ones that you guys want to see.
We've got some lined up already that are the requests for us to play. So I'm so ready for that.
Thank you for joining us here. As always, I appreciate you. Love you very much.
And
Garfield be with you. Stay spooky.
Goodbye.